Hi, I made a time lapse of this still life oil painting of cherries few months ago, and a few viewers requested for a detailed painting process. I decided to make this detailed version of the same painting, and I really hope this will help you follow along and create your own painting. I will try and show the colors I have mixed as we go. So let's get started.
So I have used a mechanical pencil, any pencil will do, and I have sketched out basically the outline of what I want to paint. And this time around, I want to test out a technique which most of the traditional artists use, and that is the underpainting technique or the wash. I'm going to use a Galkid medium because this is thin, and you could use distilled turpentine as well. Just because the drying time of Galkid is a bit faster, and this one I'm using is from Gamblin, and I like the drying time of the Galkid mediums. So let's talk about how do you choose the underpainting color. So looking at the reference image for your painting, try and pick the most prevalent color and the color which would be in your background, so that even if the paint you apply on top of it is a little bit thinner, then the background color will show through it, and that would bring a bit of harmony in your painting. So let me show you the color I'm using. I'll be using burnt umber and burnt sienna. I'll mix both of these with a lot of Galkid medium. So let me show you how to do that. So I'll take burnt umber onto the palette and a little bit of uh, burnt sienna as well. And then I'm going to pour the alkyd medium directly onto the paint. Then we're going to mix it. We're going to make it as thin as possible so that our sketch also shows through, and this is going to be only light base. Okay, now that we have mixed in the coat, let me show you how to apply it. As you can see, this is very light, and the sketch beneath shows.
Before the base coat is completely dry, I'm going to use a paper towel and wipe across the surface so that we only have a light coat of the wash and we can still see through the base sketch we have done of the painting.
Let's start with the background. Um, we start all we always start our painting with the farthest point, and in our setup it is going to be the wall. um, let's start mixing the darkest areas, which is in our case the right bottom corner, top, and then both the top edges and here as well. So this is the darkest area, this one and top left. So let's start mixing colors for that. I have taken these colors on my palette: magenta, ivory black, burnt umber, zinc white. This is a little bit transparent white as compared to titanium white, burnt sienna, and yellow ochre. I have taken a little bit of liquid original as a medium to mix the colors. Let me show you the brush I'll be using. I'm using flat brush size 3. You could use a filbert brush as well. So this is filbert brush size 4. You can use either one of them. And let us start putting our first color. The reason we use a soft brush is because it doesn't pick up a lot of color from the surface and it spreads the paint evenly. Be careful around the sides of your subject, but it's okay if you go over the line into the subject, but never leave any gap between the subject and the background. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you to fill in with the same color later on. I'm using a larger brush now, round brush size 10. Because the bristles are very soft, we'll use this to make the colors a little bit smoother on the edges. You see, once you have applied the dark colors here, with this brush you can soften it out similarly on both the edges. It will spread the paint very evenly. Now I'm going to add a little bit of yellow ochre and also a little bit of burnt umber. Just to make it more sync with the background color, I'm going to add a little bit of burnt sienna to it. It has made the color a bit warm.
You feel alone. I know that you miss me, but you are so down. You know that I'm here, I'm here. Come when you want. You know I always pray for a little boy. I know, yeah. I know that you miss me. I know that you miss me. I know, I know. I know that you miss me. I know that you miss me. I know that, know that. Know that. Know that. Know that. You know that I'm here, I'm here. Come when you want. You know I'll spray for your little boy. I know, yeah. I know that you miss me. I know that you miss me. I know.
Now that we are done with the background, we'll start with the table where the fruits are placed. I have mixed in burnt umber, ivory black, and a little bit of zinc white so that it is not very bright and neither very dark. I'm using a round brush because there is some shadow falling on the table surface as well. This area needs to be very settled. The difference between the background and this part of the table needs to be very settled. That's why we have not mixed in a lot of titanium white here. To the same mixture I have added now titanium white and ivory black to make it a little grayish. and also lighter, because this is the area where the light is falling from the source, so I made it bit lighter. Don't worry about detailing as of now. You'll have to choose the most prevalent color and put it across as a base, and then on top of that you can go ahead and make the wooden texture later on. So I'll blend in between the shadow and the place where light is falling from the source from the right side. Texture on the wood is really very random, right? So you don't have to worry too much about copying as is from the reference. Just make sure there is no gap between your subject and the background. Let me add in some more titanium white in this area because it is way lighter than the rest of the table. Just make sure the stroke are horizontal, because that's how you'll be able to create the texture on wood.
The stars align. We lose ourselves in the rhythm divine. Underneath the sky, painted with dreams, we're chasing the echoes of silent screams. Caught in the spell of the cosmic night, where fantasies bloom in the pale moonlight. We'll let go of all that we know and dance in the stardust, gentle flow. Dancing in the stardust, we're weightless and feel wonders. Just you and me, lost in the moment. Our spirits ignite as we twirl in the magic of cosmic light. Constellations will find a way through the celestial symphony. We'll sway with every step we leave our years behind. In this celestial bond of divine, caught in the spell of cosmic night, where fences bloom in pale moonlight. Dancing in the stardust, we're waiting to feel wonders. Just you and me, only moment. Our spirits ignite as we twirl in the magic of cosmic love. Wishing galaxies will find our home. In this cosmic light, as we twirl in the magic of the cosmic light.
Please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon if you like the video.
The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dream I held you in my arms. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken. So I hung my head and I cried. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. I always love you and make you happy, and nothing else could come between. But if you leave me to alone another,
Now that we are done with this entire
you have
part,
said
let me show you how this particular cherry is done. We divide each fruit into three parts. One is the shadow area, which is the opposite side of where the light is shining on the fruit. So this end would be the darkest one. Then there is mid area, and then there is a highlight. So we divide it into three. We always start with the shadow, then add in the middle tone, and then the highlight would be the last part. In our case, if you have observed in all of the fruits, there is a top thin layer of blue which is not reflective. Okay, so that also has to be considered in our case. So our fruit uh, in our painting would be divided into 4 areas. Again, the shadow, the mid-tone, the top matte surface, okay, where the light is not reflecting, and then the highlight. So we start with the shadow, the darkest area, and I have basically mixed in ivory black and crimson red. This needs to be dark but not plain black. So I have added crimson red, a little bit of crimson red with our medium, that is liquid original, so that the wash we have done, right, that shines through or shows through a little bit when the color is transparent. Again, the color is not very transparent, neither it is opaque. I'm using a size 0 round brush. Okay, so this is all the shadow we need to paint for this fruit. So to the same mixture I will add a little bit of zinc white, so that it's not very bright. Don't worry about blending at this point, just add in your values like we spoke about. Add in all 4 values and then we'll blend them in. I have added alizarin crimson. We're still adding the mid-tone here. Now let's blend in the shadow and mid-tone. Because this brush is soft, it will help in blending as well. You could use a different brush for blending, but I think this will work just fine. Also, it doesn't have to be very soft because there is a little bit of texture on top of fruit, right? So that will show up better if it is not very soft. Now let's mix the color for the matte blue. So this is the combination of phthalo blue, a little bit of ivory black, and titanium white. I'm still using the round brush, size 0, and now we are blending the red into the blue. You'll see how we get a kind of magenta tone, and that looks natural. You don't even have to mix it separately. Every time I'm picking this color again, I'm cleaning the brush so that the red or magenta residue on the brush does not get mixed in on the pure colors. We are leaving a spot here for the highlight. I could paint over it and add the highlight later, but then keeping it blank helps. Okay, now that we are done with all the 3 layers, we will add highlights now. To add the highlight, I'm just going to dab with the light color. So what I've mixed in titanium white and a very little amount of same mixture, the alizarin crimson, very slightly. We will add the brightest spot and then slowly expand it. Once I've done that, let me clean my brush and on the sides slowly blend it.
I know you feel like you want me, and I guess in a way you do. Holding my breath, unraveling emotions. I need some space to think this through. Call me all night long. Try to give you hints and a heart to see. Right on the line, no. Losing it on you, so last thing I need. If I'm honest, I'll just make you cry. Yeah, I don't wanna fight with you. I would rather lie to you. I promise now's not the right time. Yeah, I don't wanna fight with you. I would rather lie to you. Look away so you won't see. Cause the pain is in my eyes. Feels like I could break it any moment and shatter your insides. If you read my mind, call me all night long. Try to give you hints and a heart to see. Right on the line, no. Losing it on you, so last thing I know. If I'm honest, I'll just make you cry. And I don't wanna fight with you. I would rather lie to you. I promise now's not the right time. Yeah, I don't wanna fight with you. I would rather lie to you. I would rather lie. I would rather lie. I don't wanna fight. I would rather lie to you. If I'm honest, I'll just make you cry. Yeah, I don't wanna fight with you. I would rather lie. I would rather lie. I would rather lie. I don't wanna fight. I would rather call me all night long. Try to give you hints and a heart to see. Right on the line, no. Losing it on you, so last thing I I'm honest, I'll just make you cry. And I don't wanna fight with you. I would rather lie to you. I promise now's not the right time. Yeah, I don't wanna fight with you. I would rather lie to you. I would rather lie. I would rather lie. I don't wanna fight. I would rather lie to you.
So moving on with the container, this is a particularly bronze or copper made container. On the shadow part, I have only added ivory black and a tiny bit of yellow ochre. Because ivory black is a cool color, adding yellow ochre would give it a little bit of green tinge, which is particularly the color you observe in the shadow part of bronze or copper containers. I'm leaving some part towards the end because there is some light reflecting or shining on to the extreme end of this part, so we will add some kind of a lighter color there. But for the part where there is a lot of shadow, I'm going to directly add ivory black along with yellow ochre. And as we move towards this part where light is shining on the container, we will go ahead and add the yellow ochre. And when we have added it, let us blend it as well with the same round brush, size 0 round brush. Pretty much the entire painting I have done with this round brush, except for extreme fine lines where I have used the fine brush. Okay, let us add some more yellow ochre to make it further light. Now that we are moving on to the parts where light is reflecting more, I'm going to add zinc white. Because zinc white is transparent, it will not overpower the color mixed with it, so it will still give a little bit of shine or brightness. Now let's move on to the other part before we add in the highlights in between. So to the same mixture I have added a little bit of phthalo blue so that we get a kind of bluish green or bluish gray color. Again, I'm not going to the extreme end because there is some kind of reflection from the light source. Give some part of that and we'll add a different color there. And don't worry about making mistakes in the process. I always do that. With oil paints, you'll get enough time to go back and correct your mistakes. Let me add the same color to this part also. If you have observed, I'm only making vertical strokes, not horizontal, because this is how the light is reflecting on the container surface. Moving on to the highlights, I have added titanium white to the same mixture, a lot of it. We don't want to make it completely white, other than few spots, just to retain that realistic look. I'm going to add that in between and then we will slowly merge them. Don't worry if the color gets mixed up, because we need to give that uneven natural look. So I'll be going into darker areas and then making some uneven strokes there as well. At the end we can merge it all and make it look natural. Do it with a soft hand so that you don't pick up a lot of color when you run your brush over it. At this point I'm just dabbing with my brush and not pulling it like a stroke. Dabbing with your brush gives that realistic metal look like we have done in this part as well. I could have taken a fan brush and completely soften and merge the parts from the shadow and highlight, but then that would not give the metallic look which we are after. I'm cleaning my brush and then dabbing it and pulling it softly. Dab, just dab and pull. And finally, I'm going to add some titanium white directly from the tube, and at few places I will add it to give that extreme highlight. But make sure that we don't do it too much. For the extreme right end of the container, I'm adding I've added a little bit of magenta to the same mix along with titanium white. To be very careful not to go beyond the border of it. Now coming to the extreme left end, we have some light reflecting from the wall back here, and that would be brownish in color because of the color of the wall. So I have added burnt sienna and burnt umber to the same mixture and then add it here. Okay, I think it has become too light. Let me add some ivory black to it. Now we'll try and merge these two. Now you see that it has blended in just fine.
You feel alone. I know that you miss me, but you are so down. You know that I'm here.
Please share your valuable feedback in the comment box below. That will definitely help me make better videos in future.
You know I always pray for you, little boy. I know, yeah. I know that you miss me. I know that you miss me. I know, I know. I know that you miss me. I know that you miss me. I know that, know that. You know that I'm here, come when you want. You know I'll spray for you, little boy.
Thank you so much for watching the video till the end. I'll see you in the next one. Please subscribe to my channel and click on this video if you'd like to watch a landscape painting.